The Oregon Ducks are preparing to face a real opponent on Saturday when they host Indiana. Yeah, I said it. Let's break it down here in the Ducks Confidential podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and OregonLive. He is George Wrighster of the Unafraid Show. And George, I'm so glad you came back to life, bro. Like, I was worried about you, but here you are in the flesh.
I'm still alive.
I'm
still alive.
Your credit card company had you dead or something? Like, what's up?
Yes,
you owe me
bro.
money. And said, you can't die till after you pay me the money you owe me. But go ahead. What happened?
Dude, somebody called my credit card company and reported me as deceased. And this was a cruel joke because it took me 2.5 hours and a trip to the bank to prove that I was still alive. And
damn.
And they were like, "Are we sure it's him?" And the lady at the bank was like, "Yes, he's got his license, he's got his ID, he's got his passport.
Did you bring your rookie card? Did you bring your rookie card?
His passport. He's got the credit card in his hand. There is no way that this is not this man. His social media is correct. Like, everything is there." And they were like, "Are we sure about that?" I'm like, so what happened is somebody called in. And they have customer service. Their customer service is in, when they did like the backtracking, is in Mumbai, so in India. So somebody called into the customer service, reported me deceased. And they're trying to track down the phone call because there's also allegedly supposed to be recorded, but we shall see. And so I don't know what college football fan base did this. This could be an Aaron Fentress special here.
You said that on Twitter. You asked if it was me. Well, someone else said it was me. And then you asked if I did it.
Yes. So
and I said it could be true because I murder you every day on the Ducks Confidential podcast. But
oh my God, bro. You must be a dad joke extraordinaire, buddy.
Oh yeah, no. When you cry, how old are you?
44.
Well, yeah, so late 40s, like around 50 is when it just becomes bad. You just go off the deep end. And the thing is, they all sound hilarious in your head. There's no longer that filter.
My daughter thinks that I have, like, when we were riding back from a volleyball game the other day, she was reading off dad joke. Well, it was like, why didn't the elephant cross the road, or like, and you give the answer to the joke. And she's like, how do you get the answers to these jokes? I'm like, because I think outside of the box. I'm like AI, I adapt. And she was like, the funny part is I'm on a website called Corny Dad Jokes. And I was like, all right,
busted.
Whatever.
All right. Today's episode of the Ducks Confidential podcast is brought to you by Travel Lane County, an organization that promotes travel and tourism in the Eugene, Cascades, and Coast region. Ducks fans can learn more about this organization at www.eugenecascadescoast.org. All right, George, I said it at the top of the show. This is now the real game because Penn State lost to UCLA. So that game is not meaningless, but it's way in the past. What happens on Saturday is going to be much more important in my book because I don't respect Penn State right now as a viable, national power. They're not even ranked anymore because they lost to 0-4 UCLA.
I told everybody in the preseason.
I know. Okay, go ahead. What'd you tell us in the preseason? They were overrated, but they weren't that overrated. They shouldn't have lost that game.
No. Here's the thing, because I picked Penn State in my preseason rankings. I had them, I think, number 2. But I also said at the same time, I was like, I do not believe in this Penn State team. The reason why I'm putting them number 2 is because they got a third-year starting quarterback. Both their backs are back. Good offensive line. The defense is good. Stable coaching situation. They have every single thing possible, and they will find a way to screw it up. So they're sitting at number 2 because of all those things, because they make viable sense. But understand that this will not happen. And everybody was like, oh, you're crazy. I was like, all right, just watch.
But screwing it up is losing some big games, which cost you a playoff berth, not losing to UCLA. That's a different level. But before we get to Indiana, let's talk about wide receiver freshman Decorian Moore. So surprisingly, he was listed on the availability sheet for Wednesday. And I happened to be down there because I did a one-on-one interview with Malik Benson for a feature I'm working on. Great interview, by the way. We went like 20 minutes. He was amazing. But DeCorian comes out there and they don't let freshmen talk. Like, it was a big deal. And Lanning was asked later, because Lanning, I think Lanning went first. Anyway, he was asked about DeCorian speaking, and he said, look, and I'm summing it up here, but paraphrasing, but that DeCorian has demonstrated the ability to handle the pressure, right, of playing at this level, of, learning the offense at this level, operating as a fully functioning, starting player at this level, and has the persona and personality and maturity to handle going in front of the media. And he wasn't up there for like 2 or 3 minutes, man. He was up there for, I think, 14 minutes, something like that. Which
Dan Lanning has a saying.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish, dude. Oh my God. You just like look for your spot to jump in. I'm gonna make a point here because I just got through covering the NBA, right? And it was a trip going to the NBA because you're thinking, oh, older players. Well, yeah, there's some, but there's also a bunch of kids who should be in college, right?
Yep.
DeCorian was far more polished than every young NBA. No offense to these young kids in the NBA. Shaden's the quietest kid ever. Scoot did really well, but Scoot wasn't quite on this level at the same age. But by far the best interview of every young player I dealt with the Blazers. Like, he didn't just give like cliches, weak answers. That's why I went 14 minutes. He gave legit answers to every question. So very impressive. Now
Dan Lanning has a saying. Dan Lanning has a saying. If you are good enough, you're old enough. And he's saying that DeCorian Moore obviously is good enough on the field. Brandon Finney's good enough on the field. All these guys are good enough on the field. But you also, to be in front of the media, because that presents a whole different animal because you have to be mature enough to be able to handle the tough questions, to be able to know what to answer, to what not to answer. And they do a very good job of media training these kids. Like, this is not just an accident. He didn't show up media ready on that level. Of course, he's a mature kid because it takes a level of maturity and discipline to be able to play early, right? And talent, of course. But you also have to be trained on, and you have to be hit with tough questions, bad questions, and understand how to react in a way that's going to not only paint yourself in the right light, but paint the team, the coaching staff, everybody, and be able to handle those type of questions in those moments.
Absolutely. I've covered college sports for a long time. You get some guys who are out the gate really good, like Arion Springs, one of the greatest, kids I ever covered. Like, that guy came out the gate, just fun personality, but he just had that kind of personality, right? That was just him. And then you get quiet. Like, Dennis Dixon was super quiet, right?
Yeah.
He got better. Someone like Anthony Simons has just grown tremendously over the years, but to come in as a freshman and be that confident, that assured of yourself, was just impressive to watch. So good for him. All right, let's get to the game here. Let's do these 3 words. We usually do that to review a game, but there was no game this week to review. So my 3 words for this game are gotta prove it, meaning I'm soft on the Penn State win. I just am. That UCLA loss was hideous. So that doesn't mean the win was, meaningless for Oregon. It was a big win. But I'm like, okay, it took you double overtime to beat a team that just lost to UCLA. Now, that's not fair. We all know. I mean, for example, Team A beats Team B, B beats C, and everyone thinks that A should beat C. Right? That doesn't work that way. We all know that sports doesn't work that way, and that a sporting event is just one.
Other
it's just
factors.
One. I know.
Yeah, and there were
George,
other.
We went over that in the last podcast. We're not gonna bury that. We understand it. Regardless of the other factors, it was a bad loss no matter what. So now Indiana, Indiana is probably the best team remaining on the schedule. Although UW could be tough at the end, USC is going to be pretty good rolling in here, but this is probably the toughest game. So you need to go out there and prove that win wasn't soft, and that you can take care of business against this team. Byron, what's your 3 words?
Prove that, Aaron. You don't need to prove.
Okay, what are your 3 words?
That your win is not soft. Because the thing is, it doesn't matter whether
it matters in terms of perception.
No, it doesn't, because it doesn't matter what Penn State does from here on out. If you are Oregon and you take care of your own business, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. If Oregon goes out, beats Indiana, and then Indiana goes and loses two more games. Who cares? Because you take care of your own business. And I think that's the difference in a mature team and a team that is focused on the outside noise, because that's why it's the Ducks versus them. It's the Ducks versus the standard and not the opponent. Because if what the opponent does actually matters, then now you're subject to all the forces around you. And you have to, it's just like if we're both married, Aaron, and we both have kids. So as a father, as a husband, all of these things, if I'm constantly like, oh, my wife this, my kids this, and everything is subject to what they do and everything else, then I have no control over my own life. So I say, all right, if something bad happens with the kids, something with the wife, I look at it as, I'm like, okay, this is my fault on some level, because I got to set the standard. I got to lead better. I got to do this better or that better, because it doesn't matter, because everything else will fall into place if I take care of the things that I'm supposed to take care of. And that's the way I look at football, in the same way.
Okay. We're talking about two different things. As I said on another podcast, as I said on Talking Ducks, at the end of the day, you just have to win your games you play. And then the perception of what that win means, of course, it doesn't mean anything. But if we're talking about just the perception of the team and where it is in terms of how it sits nationally, this game is important. I mean, if you lose it, clearly that's a problem. What I'm saying is that the shine of that Penn State win and the reaction to that Penn State win has absolutely been tarnished. So this is a situation where you go out and you win this game that restores some luster to the perception. Now, yes, perception doesn't matter other than the discussions we keep having every week about who the best team is and this team and that team, who's going to win. If you go 12-0, the perceptions don't matter. But I'm talking strictly about the perception. The perception right now has shifted from what it was after Penn State. Because after Penn State, every podcaster and TV show all across the nation were just talking about the Ducks are the best team in the country because they beat mighty Penn State, and then Penn State loses. But anyway,
but the reason why there's no, Aaron,
one more point. You made one more point.
The reason why there is no, like, the national perception didn't change.
Oh,
is Oregon was
they lost number one votes.
Aaron, hold on.
Go ahead.
Aaron, no, the perception didn't change. The issue was that Miami went out and played a ranked team in Florida State and dominated them. And then you had Ohio State go out and dominate in a win as well. So it was less about Oregon. It was the fact that Oregon was off. If Oregon had played last weekend, if they had played Wisconsin and won 44-18, they wouldn't have lost first place votes. That's the point. This is an out of sight, out of mind thing. It happens to teams every single week when they are idle. This happens every single week in college football. You're so close to the sun that it feels like a bigger deal than it actually is. I'm sorry, I got to be the common sense guy.
There's no doubt they lost votes and lost some luster with Penn State falling out of the top 25. Of course, Miami beating Florida State matters. I'm not saying that doesn't, but anyway, we've beaten that to death. It doesn't matter. Let's move forward. All right, Indiana's offense. So you have made it clear in other podcasts that, Indiana has a good offense, but they're going to face a defense like they haven't seen. The front seven's going to be a monster for them, the speed, the height in the secondary. But let me just real quick, just go over some of what Indiana brings to the table here. So they rank 5th in the nation in yards per game, 538. Oregon's 9th. And this is not a knock on Oregon, because that's just, that's just how games go. It doesn't mean that you're better. It's just, Indiana's 4th in scoring at 48 points per game. Ducks are 6th at 46. The rushing offense is 5th at 268. But here's something that's funny about the rushing offense thing. Hold on, I got to call this up because I thought this was kind of hilarious. Let me get a screenshot of this. If you look at the top rushing teams in the country, like none of them, except for Oregon, could be considered, let me read the list to you. Navy, Florida State, which is obviously good, but not great. Missouri is doing well, but no one considers them a contender. Army, West Point, then Indiana, Jacksonville State, Old Dominion, Air Force, Utah, James Madison, then Oregon, then Memphis, Michigan, Texas State. So the rushing yards per game can be completely overrated, but still they do run the ball very well. They're led by Roman Hemby, but also Kalen Black in the backfield, two really good running backs. Oregon is 11th Oregon's 11th in rushing, 240. Mendoza is the quarterback. Fernando Mendoza is second in passing efficiency at 197.8. Moore is right behind him at 183.5. Both are around 1,200 yards and about 72% completion. But Mendoza 16 touchdowns to 14. For Dante, again, splitting hairs, each has one interception. Wide receivers Elijah Sarrett and Omar Cooper each have 400 yards and 6 TDs. And with all that, they love them some RPOs, man. Woo! They love them some sticking the ball in the running back's gut and deciding to throw the slant or throw the screen or throw the hitch, and they take advantage of people a lot. Bryce Betcher talked a lot about this week about you gotta keep your eyes right. You gotta watch that quarterback. You gotta get back into your zone if it ends up being a pass. So with all that said, George, how do you think Oregon's gonna do? Not only with all that talent and all that clearly skill, but dealing with the RPO as well. Break it down for me.
Yeah. Fernando Mendoza is I lost you. Fernando Mendoza is an athletic quarterback. He is not Michael Vick. He is not, a threat in terms of a home run. He's not Nico Iamaleava running the football. He's a first down guy. And when you look at Indiana's rushing, oh God, 300 yards versus Old Dominion. Oh, we should all be terrified about that. 300 yards versus Kennesaw State. 300 yards versus Indiana State. Now, 300 yards versus Illinois. You're like, that could be something. And then when you watch the film, you're saying Illinois. I consider that game an aberration, because when you look at what Illinois has done in every single other game. They were hurt in the secondary. They played so incredibly poorly that you can't even grade the game. Like, they were getting lined up wrong. It was awful. And then, so 300 yards in the first 4 games. Then all of a sudden, you run against a good defense in Iowa. Oh, you rush for 104 yards on 39 carries, 2.7 yards a carry. That's weird. What? And Iowa ranks 4th in the nation in run defense at 69.4. Oregon's 38th, by the way, but again, semantics. Go ahead. Yeah. So you're like, that's a little weird. You know what I mean? That's a little bit weird. So now it begs the question, what is going to happen when you face a really good athletic defense? And the difference is that, and the matchups that you guys need to watch. Indiana's right tackle, which is the dude has a good punch. He's going to, if he punches you, it's good, but he has no secondary move. He gets his feet too tight. He is going to be, I've called him a fish. He is going to have, and their right guard, they are going to have problems on their hands. I'm letting you know that right now. Because there is I would say a slim to none chance, and slim don't live here, that they have success, that those two dudes have success against Oregon's front. Like that they win way more than they lose. I'm telling you that right now. And especially in pass protection. I believe that Indiana is a good football team. They have some players. I think the best players on their offense are clear to me. The quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. Then you got Roman Hemby, the running back. That kid's nice. And then you got Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper as the wide receivers. They get the lion's share of the catches. And then their cornerback Pons is pretty good. Now, I know that most people are looking at, like, there are people who have questioned Oregon's secondary. They're like, oh, they're young, especially at corners and Brandon Finney. When you watch the film, Brandon Finney, when he's into the boundary especially, the majority of time he's on an island. This is a freshman being put on an island regularly with great results, which is highly impressive. So I am very, very confident in this game and the turnout of this game, because Oregon has not been a team that has been turning the ball over. And if you continue that part of things where balls are accurate, you're not having tips and overthrows, you're not fumbling the football. If you do those things, they will win this game handily. Like it will start out as a closer game, and then all of a sudden, like you'll see it. Second quarter, you'll start to see a little bit of separation. Third quarter, you could be like first quarter, you could see a 7-7 quarter, maybe a 10-7 quarter. Then at halftime, you might see 17-7 or 17-10. Into the third quarter, you could be 24 or 20 or 24, 31, 10. And then you could end up 17-38. 17-38.
Damn.
That's the score I got in the game. So I think that is going to be the course of the game. I think that the weather is going to potentially be a little bit of an issue because it is predicted to rain a little bit during the game, and I think that always favors Oregon because they're used to practicing in that sort of thing, and there's no excuses. So I think that this is a good football team. Oh, and their defense.
Well, yeah, that's the next segment. Okay, so once you get going, man, it's like we got to reel you in a little bit. Slow down, George. Slow down. You're jumping segments. Okay, so first of all, I don't like you and Newman have kind of convinced me of that part of this. Like I see what you're talking about, and I compared it to Illinois last year. I think you brought that up too. I went to the Illinois game. I think it was parent weekend last year, and Illinois rolled in there number 16, right? And okay, this could be a good game. 2 series in, not only was it clear that Illinois couldn't match up, but it was clear they knew they couldn't match up. Like the way they called their play.
Ohio State game last year to the Ohio State Indiana game.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a great example too. So like it was. I'm just going back to Illinois though, but it was just obvious, right? It was like, okay, this is a good football team, but they can't match up. So I'm wondering if I'm going to see, but I don't think it's going to be like that. I do think Indiana does have some dudes and they have a better quarterback. So I do think they're going to keep it closer than you do. I mean, we'll see, but I do have, I'll give you my prediction later, but I hear where you're coming from on that. And I'm kind of with you. Now let's flip to the other side of the ball.
Like, I don't want to sound like I'm poo-pooing Indiana. Like,
no, I know.
Like this is Oklahoma State.
Right.
But because Indiana has dudes. That's why I said if Oregon doesn't, if they turn the ball over, they can lose this football game. Like this is not a football game that you can just throw your jerseys out and win, or just play okay and win. Like you're going to have to play well to win this football game. So I don't want anybody to be under any misconception about that. Indiana is a dangerous football team. However, there is a difference is that there's levels to this. And Indiana, which is a historically has been a bottom tier college football program. They are a program that is on the rise. They are moving in the right direction. But there's a big difference in moving in the right direction. Okay. This is like when, and this is a little more of an extreme example, but there have been some times where, okay, well, let's look at Oregon in 2014 when we played in the national championship versus, Ohio State. Now, I know that Oregon's wide receivers were hurt with Darren Carrington being suspended.
Devin Allen.
The hurdler kid tore his knee up in the
in the Rose Bowl against Florida State. Devin Allen.
Yeah, yep. And then Ipre Alomo, he was out. So I understand all of those things. But there's levels to it. Ohio State had a different level on the offensive line than we had in the front seven. And that's what it is with Indiana right now.
And that was even with DeForest Buckner and Armstead.
Yeah, but that's two guys who
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's even with those, right? That's even with those two, there still was a difference. Yeah.
Yes, because they got to play the whole game.
Right.
Versus Ohio State had two dudes that were very good as well, but then they get to come out of the game and then two very good guys come in.
Right.
So there's depth issues. So that's where Indiana is right now. They're at that Oregon 2010, 2014 sort of game where, 2010 in the national championship, you can't block Nick Fairley.
Right.
And they just got dudes everywhere. And that's where Indiana is. They are an up-and-coming program. In 4 or 5 years, this could be a totally different conversation. But where it stands right now, there's levels to this.
Okay. So now Indiana's defense, they shut down Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier. He's at 1,500 yards, man. 12 touchdowns, 0 picks. But against Indiana, 146 yards and 1 score. They were behind most of the game, too. He still couldn't get things going. Indiana sacked him 7 times. Isaiah Jones has 3.5 sacks. They got 2 DBs with 3 interceptions each. But again, same thing. They haven't faced someone like Dante. They haven't faced the speed at receiver that Oregon's going to put out there. And, Oregon doesn't have a bell cow running back, but it doesn't matter because they got a 4-headed monster that's racking up massive yards. So, again, is this another situation where Indiana, again, they have one layer of really good players, but they're just not at Oregon's level, and that we're going to see evidence of that on Saturday.
Yeah. And so they have a kid, Isaiah Jones, their linebacker. He's more of an outside linebacker. He has 3.5 sacks. Stephen Daly has 1.5 sacks. And then you have Mario Landino, who has 3 sacks as well. So these are guys who can make plays. And they have created a lot of turnovers as well. They forced a couple fumbles. They have 7 interceptions on the season already, which is over 1 a game. So they are creating opportunities for themselves. Now, they've only played 1 game against comp like that. Well, actually 2 in terms of Illinois and then Iowa. Iowa is a notoriously difficult place to play. And Oregon fans will probably see that later on in the season. But also, Autzen is a notoriously difficult place to play. I think Oregon's won 41 out of their last 42 home games. It is notoriously difficult to play there. And I think that Indiana finds that out. But
that's fair.
It's just a depth issue. And again, this is no knock on Indiana. Their fans have been great. I understand why they believe, and it gives me so many parallels, Aaron, to Oregon. When we thought that we were further along than we really were. And
so
then
that Georgia game happened?
Yeah. Well, that was Dan's first game, so I don't really put you're in a coaching transition, all this stuff. So I don't put as much stock into that, but yes, exactly. I don't think that they lose 45-3 at the end of the season, but also that Georgia team also just buried everybody. It's one of the greatest defenses in college football history. Right. So it looked even worse in the beginning of the season, but when Georgia ran through the entire country, it didn't feel as bad.
Right.
I mean, there was nobody that could beat them. Nobody. They smoke showed pretty much every single team that they went up against.
All right, I don't disagree with you. All right, real quick around the nation. Number 1 Ohio State's at Illinois. I expect Ohio State to roll in that one. Number 8,
they are
Alabama's
14.5-point favorites in that game. I am actually
they should cover
taking.
That, don't you think?
Huh?
No, you're taking Illinois.
Yeah, I'm good. No. I'm not taking Illinois to win. Okay. Slow down.
Yeah, no, I meant the points, of course.
Yeah. I'm taking yes. I'm taking Illinois into 14.5. I might need that hook. I might need that half a point, but that half a point could get real important. But I do think that they keep it around, 10 points maybe.
Then we got number 8 Alabama at number 14 Missouri, which could be dicey. And then, hey man, Texas. This is Texas's last stand. They got Oklahoma number 6 coming into town. They lose that third game, they're done, right? Or can 9-3 get in from the
Not
SEC?
For Texas now. No. If you were a ranked SEC team right now, if they were still ranked, yes.
That's what I'm saying. But if they won 6 in a row to finish the season, they probably get ranked, but probably not high enough to be in the playoffs at 9-3.
No chance, bro. Because they would have. Because Texas, who's now unranked, right?
Right.
Last week, they were number 9 in the nation. Everybody's giving them the benefit of the doubt. That Florida loss is going to do so much heavy lifting against them. Like, it's going to be an anchor toward the end of the season. And listen to their rest of the season. So they play Oklahoma. Let's say they lose to Oklahoma because John Mateer may actually play. But their offense is also not doing anything, and Oklahoma's defense is impressive this year. At Kentucky, at Mississippi State, you win those 2 games. If they lose to Oklahoma and win those two games, is anybody going to care?
No. Although Mississippi State's not bad, but go ahead. But no, I agree.
Yeah. And then they play Vanderbilt, who probably won't be ranked when they play them because they got LSU and Missouri both before they play Texas, and they're 20 now, so they're probably going to lose one of those or both of those. So then they won't be ranked. So nobody's really going to care about that. And then do you think that they're going to win at Georgia?
No, but what I'm saying is that if they do win out after Oklahoma, I think they have a chance to get in because they would have wins over Vanderbilt, Georgia, and A&M, which could be enough to get them in because everyone's going to throw out the Ohio State loss. And then they make up for the Florida loss, but it's dicey.
Yeah,
they need to win.
They would need a lot of help.
Yeah, but that would be. I mean, if they close with wins over Georgia and Texas A&M, that makes a strong case. But
especially if Georgia or A&M drops other games. Yes, so I would agree with you. There is a path if they win out because of the Georgia and Texas A&M wins.
And then we got Michigan Michigan's hosting number 15 USC.
No.
No?
USC
host. Sorry, USC host. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I got back. USC host.
I am so excited about this football game, Aaron. I am so excited about this football game because this is going to be one of those truth-telling games. USC believes that that Illinois game was an aberration and that, when you go in their message board, their fans are either one or two ways. See, I told you we're not ready. Or they're like, dude, chill out. It was one loss. Everything's still in front of us. The Big Ten is wide. They have a thread that says the Big Ten is wide open. And I'm like, what do you mean wide open starting at number 3? where you think it's wide open in the 1 and 2 spot? No, it is not wide open. It is clear who the 2 best teams in this conference are at this point in time. Like, is 3 wide open? Maybe, sure, but it's tough after that. So
I like USC in this game. I don't think Underwood can get it done there. But go ahead.
Underwood has been continuously getting better, but the main thing is remember, this Michigan team beat USC last year, okay? With Alex Orji and that other kid at quarterback. Bryce Underwood is a better passer, and they have better receivers than they had last year, and he's more experienced. He's been in a hostile environment in Oklahoma and wasn't turning the ball over. So, and the Coliseum is not a tough place to play. It's not it's not like, oh my God, scary loud fans or anything. Dude, that place will turn into a church real quick. And
facts.
And Michigan is going to, if they get over 43 carries, they're going to win the game. Because they're just going to lean on USC's front because they are thin, Aaron. They do have some good guys up front, but they are thin. It is not much to talk about beyond the starters. So, and that's what happened in the Illinois game. They got tired. And Michigan, we've seen the way that they play football. They are going to lean on you. They are going to check your chin strap. I was talking to Willie McGinnis about this the other day because he said he was going to the game. He was like, "Listen, I don't love it because we're going to get our chin straps checked." And I was like, "You are right," because that's what Michigan does. This is Big Ten football. This is strap them up. You better be ready to go. And we're going to see what USC is about. And that's the thing I'm looking forward to, is to seeing if USC is really about everything that they say that they about right now.
About that life. All right, let's get to our picks. Now, you've made it clear you've got what? 38-17, is that right?
30, 17,
so
38.
So your threat level is what, a 1 or 2? What's your threat level?
No. This is a 3.
Okay. All right.
You can still beat up a 3, but also understand if you don't bring your A game, this can be a game, or you can lose the game. Like if Oregon brings their B- game, this could be a coin toss. If they bring their B+ game, they'll win. They bring their A game, smoke show.
Well, I've got a threat level of 3.5. I went from 33-23 Oregon down to 30-26 Oregon. But now I'm back up to 33-23. I'm buying what you've been selling all week. I agree with you, but I do think it's going to be close. I think it's not going to be over until the fourth quarter. Oregon will make a play and they'll go up 2 possessions, and time will run out in the end. I do think it's going to be a competitive game, but I do think Oregon's superior.
Serious question, because I'm like a scoregami guy. Do you know what scoregami is?
How you get to scores?
No.
Oh, no.
Okay, so scoregami. Google scoregami right now. Okay. Most people don't know about it. I found out about it about 2 years ago, and you can go like scoregami NFL. So there was just a score 2 weeks ago in the NFL that had never happened. So scoregami is all the scores, like how many games have finished with that particular score. So there are games that haven't finished with particular score. So when you get it, it's like a cool nerd thing when scoregami happens. So, and you said 26 have written, and I was like, how many times? I was like, I don't think we get 26 very often.
I like to do that in my predictions. It's sort of like I got it from Chris Berman. Remember Chris Berman would come up with these weird numbers sometimes just to be funny when
I was
scores.
Too young to notice that the numbers were weird, probably.
Like I
remember Chris Berman exactly, but I don't remember that part of it.
Yeah, like he'd pick a game that was like a 3-point spread and like have, Buffalo 19 over Miami 18, like stuff like that, indicating that, Miami was going to cover but still lose, but make it 19-18 rather than making it, something
2017 or like 20, yeah.
Yeah. 17,
yeah,
14.
So I was like, 26.
But 26 is easy, though. 26 is not big a deal. If you can get to 23, it's just another field goal. 23 is not abnormal. It's a bunch of field goals. It's 3 field goals.
Yeah, that's a lot of field goals.
4 field goals. It's 4 field goals. Or you go for 2 and don't get it. There's a lot of different ways you can get to 26.
Yeah, I'm just saying 20. No, there are ways, but
25
you normally don't have teams score 2 touchdowns and then kick 4 field goals, though. That's not typical.
But maybe they went for 2 and didn't get it. 25 is more unusual. 25 is unusual enough. That's more difficult to get to.
Okay, I have to think about that.
All right, so you got 38-17. I got 33-23. But most importantly, you're coming up here, which means we're going to meet for the very first time. That blew my mind. Did you even realize that? We've never met. All the times we've talked, you've been on Talking Ducks before. We've never met in person.
Aaron, I did a show on Fox Sports Radio for 4 years with this guy named Dan Beyer, who you can hear on. He's with Doug Gottlieb. Like he's the second chair to him. And I did a show with him for 4 years. We both live in Los Angeles. And I did not meet Dan Beyer until the Super Bowl one year. And I did a show with him for 4 years. We
In the
both
same
lived in
city?
Los Angeles. I had never met him. And he lives in the Valley too. I live in the Valley. He lives in the Valley. We've never met.
That's weird.
Because so there's a little bit of a reason for it, because COVID happened in 2020, and so nobody was going into the studio. So we started it in 2019, maybe, and started working together in 2019. So, and then COVID happens, nobody's going into the studio. And then when the studio opened up, I had already built a studio at home, and they were like, yo, do you want to come in? I was like, no. And Dan would sometimes do it from home. Sometimes he would do it from the studio. So it was just more convenient for everybody. So we just never even met in person. And I didn't even know what Dan Beyer looked like. We're at the Super Bowl. I'm talking to Doug Gottlieb, and you know when you go to the Super Bowl with the press passes, like everybody has their lanyard on with their name on it, right?
And a photo, big photo.
Yeah, he turns his around on purpose to see if I know who he is. And I see some other people up there. I'm like, oh, what's up? But I spoke to him. I was like, hey, what's up? Like blah blah blah. And I'm talking to and then I'm walking away. He was like, George. I'm like, what's up? And then I hear his voice. I'm like. And he was like, it's Dan. I was like, bro, I hear your voice. I was like, I had no clue what you look like.
That's hilarious, dude. You never looked him up? How'd you guys not go to lunch? To just talk about the show or something?
We would talk on the phone all the time.
That's weird. Never FaceTime or anything? That's weird. Wow. You never looked him up?
No, I didn't Google him. I knew his name. I followed him on Twitter. I know everything about him. I knew he was having a kid. I said thanks. I sent him steaks for when he had and a bottle of champagne when he had a kid. Did all the pleasantries.
Okay, so real quick, did he look anything like you pictured him in your mind?
No. Completely
different.
Nope, completely different.
That's funny. All right, well. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, although I can't be in the same place with you and Newman. I got to keep that separate. I got to I can't have you guys both together, so I got to avoid that because I don't know if I can handle you both at the same time. All right. Today's episode of the Ducks Confidential Podcast was brought to you by Travel Lane County, an organization that promotes travel and tourism in the Eugene, Cascades, and Coast region. Ducks fans can find out more at www.eugenecascadescoast.org. All right, big game Saturday. We'll be back next week to break it down and get you ready for Rutgers.